Anyways, thanks for coming, guys. I believe the greatest gift of sport is the opportunity it provides. As Olympic medalists, I really had the chance to travel the world, to meet exceptional athletes and great leaders. And I found all these people had common traits, a way of approaching training and high performance. And I like to call that Olympic thinking. So the first trait of Olympians, I believe, is they believe in the idea of the impossible, something that hasn't been done and can be done. So I had this coach, she's actually one of Canada's greatest coaches, has coached the most Olympic medalists of any coach in all of Canada ever. So she's pretty good at what she does, but she always approached everything. As soon as you told her something, she's like, how do we make this work? She never came up with all the reasons that she couldn't. And so there was always a way to approach. So I did synchro a long time ago, 25 years ago. So anyways, these acrobatics we do now are like Cirque du Soleil, amazing things. But we were kind of pioneers at the time, innovators. So she had this idea, this music, this routine was to the music of cats, and the coach had the idea. She's like, you know what, we're just gonna have one cat jump over another cat, and we're not allowed to touch the bottom, just so everybody knows here, there's no touching the bottom. And if you look closely, I'm the sucker under here not breathing with everybody jumping off her back. Anyways, that's joke for you. So she came out to this, and people had kind of lifted people out of the water and sometimes thrown them up a little bit, but nobody had ever kind of jumped over anyone. She's like, it's gonna be great. One cat can jump over another cat, one cat over another cat. And so this is like the nice, pretty picture of the end result when we were at World Championships. But while we learned to do this girl came up, she came down on this. I got kneed underwater in my eyeball and had a black eye and a concussion. She fell into her. I think somebody got like a cut along their leg. Anyways, and the coach just going, great, one cat over another cat. And she just kept finding a way. If that didn't work, we just did it. And I learned this valuable lesson of like, if you're motivated to see something impossible as a way to do it, you will find a way. Whereas if other people will approach them and be like, oh, it won't work because it's whatever. And so that was like a really powerful thing for me. I also threw in this other little picture because I thought it was really cool. This is a picture in downtown Athens, so the side of the buildings at that Olympics. I was there as a broadcaster. And it says impossible is potential and impossible is temporary. And I believe that's like the Olympic ideal. If you think about what a world record is, a year ago, many years ago, that wasn't possible, and the next world records are currently impossible. And just that belief in what impossible actually means, that idea that we can always push farther and get more. Another common trait is having faith in your coach. I'm sure there's not anyone in this room who hasn't thought that their coach gave them a drill or something they wanted to do that they thought was not the right idea or even stupid or any of that. Like, I'm sure we've all thought that at different times with our coaches. So our team, we leading into the Olympics, we placed second at Worlds to qualify, and they kind of decided that one of the skills that the Americans had over us was they had a higher egg beater. An egg beater is like when you do a motion like this with your legs and you kind of come out, and this is like the top part of you coming out, it's the egg beater. So they were kind of higher out of the water, so they decided we had to do something drastic to kind of get up to the Americans' level for the egg beater. So the coaches went out and bought these broomsticks, like long broomsticks, and we each got two. And so one we had to hold over our heads like this, and one we had to put down the strap of our goggles and the back strap of our swimsuit to keep our posture straight. And they had us do 20 laps of double arm forward egg beater. And to give you a perspective, like double arm forward egg beater is only like top level skill that anybody can do. And like from here to that wall is really, really hard. So 20 laps, it was like a drowning session. Like you're literally coming up to get your lips out on lap 20. And they did it every Thursday all year. And man, if you could have heard us in the change room after practice, the things we said about our coaches, the way we did not believe, but I don't know, reflecting, I was looking at our egg beater height at the Olympics and damned if it wasn't quite a bit higher than it was before. So I kind of learned that, like believing in your coach. And further to that is like I would meet these people who were like a world champion or Olympic gold medalist, and they were always trying to learn from somebody. They're always like taking a course or talking to somebody else for something, like whether it's sports psych or plyometrics or another sport. What did you do? And they're always trying to learn. I kind of thought once you were like number one in the world, you're like, okay, I got this. You know, but it's actually all these people were always trying to get better by learning from everybody, and it wasn't just other people who were great, but all these other ways of doing that. So they took learning from the experts. For example, this is these are all from before your time because I'm a lot older than you guys. Maybe you remember some of these. But Mark Tewksbury won an Olympic gold medal in 1992. But leading into that at the World Championships the year before, he came second to this guy, Jeff. And he was behind him by, I think, 1.5 seconds, which is the same amount of speed he had gained in the last 5 years. So in the next year, and he knew he'd have to get a little bit faster than that, he would have to do as much improvement as he had in the past 5 years in 1.5 years. So he's like, how am I going to do this? So he knew whatever he was doing before wasn't going to be good enough now. And so that's how he actually met my coach. He said he was at the pool and he's watching all these synchronized swimmers. He's like, oh, they're kind of good underwater. And so he actually hired her to train his underwater kick. And he got that time. That was like the difference for him. He like credits her with that Olympic medal. So just that whole idea of like having faith in the people that are trying to teach you something and taking something from everywhere you go is kind of a common trait. So another one is never listen to the critics. I think everyone who's been in sport for a long time has had someone criticize them, tell them they're not good enough or tall enough or fast enough or smart enough or just not enough in some way. And I always say, like, never listen to the critics, because almost every athlete I talked to had a story where they came last and someone, they were never going to do it again, or someone told them they were no good and they got busy, and got back to that. So when I was 7, I tried synchro for the first time, and it was just like a recreational program, and you did a bunch of skills for like a little badge, just like you would for a regular swim badge. And I was like really lots of long arms and legs and scrawny and super uncoordinated, like don't walk down the street because I was so little. And so anyways, I went to this course, and then it was a day before the test, and she took me aside and said, you are not good at this. You're never going to be any good at this. Don't even come to the test tomorrow. Take up something new, which is like crazy. Anyway, so I put this here, and I still have this trophy. It's sat in my bathroom for many years, and it's not a big deal. It says 10 and under, most improved. But it was the first time that I ever thought that I would be like good at something. And so that was when I was 10. I was the most improved athlete that year. And then when I was 11, I was the youngest swimmer ever in the history of Canada to win a national title. So when I was 7, apparently I was not good enough to even show up for a recreational program. So it's just like, really hate when I hear people say somebody's no good, especially at the age, who would say that to a 7-year-old anyways? I just like looking back, just a recreational program person who didn't know anything about synchro, but don't listen to them. If you have something you want, if you have something you love, like, go for it. I also wanted to tell you, I don't know when this study was or who did it, but I still remember the importance of it. And it was talking about how some people come out and they're like really strong at their sport to start. And it's easy, it flows for them, they can just pick everything up. And then there's other people, maybe it doesn't come so easy, but they have this belief in themselves that they're gonna get it. So I don't have it, but not yet. But that idea of not yet, like I'm gonna get it, not yet. And they actually did a study that those people who found it easy didn't actually develop those skills to do a new skill. So once natural talent only took them this far, they didn't have that basic belief that I can get something new. So they actually said that those athletes that believed they could get something, that they haven't got it yet, actually went further. Those were the ones that kind of went all the way, that belief. So it's great when you come out and you got that natural skill and it can carry you, and that doesn't mean you can't learn everything. But don't think just because you don't start out at the top, you can't be there at the end. And I wish I knew who was that study, but I remembered it. But anyways, talk about the trait of just like striving for excellence and kind of what it takes. So like, obviously the basics that you guys have heard is just grueling hard work. So I trained 7 or 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. And that would include, like, we did laps for like 100 laps to warm up, and, weight training and sports psych and flexibility. They used to make us sit in over splits, which is like, put your one foot here, go into the splits and sit there for 5 minutes. I'm not naturally flexible, so that was like a nightmare for me. We did like choreography, video, we also did ballet, which I hated and was very, very terrible at. Fitness testing, all of it. So we did all of that many hours, and that's what it took for us to kind of get to that like top world level. The other thing that I always want to tell people is like getting to that excellence level, it always includes failure and kind of a sense of fear as well. I put in this picture of Jeremy Weatherspoon. I don't know if you remember that at the Olympics. So he's kind of arguably one of the greatest male speed skaters of all time, more world titles and World Cup and World Championships titles than anybody. This is him like 3 strides in at the Olympics, falling flat on his face on the ice. So he is the greatest, but he still faced some failure. And that was like at the Olympics with the sponsors and all the pressure. And what is also cool about this story, so in that short track, you do one race from the inside lane and one lane from the outside lane. So he didn't even finish this race, but he actually went back the next day, raced, and got the fastest time, even though it counted for nothing. And I think it counted for a lot more than nothing for him to kind of show that, to come out. I can't imagine what it took after that, kind of literally falling on your face in one of the biggest moments with the whole world watching expectations. So yeah, like even being the greatest, it involves failure. And if you have not kind of pushed yourself to the point where you're failing, you probably haven't reached your potential. So know that that's a part of it. It's not, people who are great didn't just go from success to success. It was like fall flat on your face, keep going, get up and keep going. And then the fear. I always think that each sport kind of has something. My husband was like a springboard diver, and for them, they could hit their head on the board. A guy actually died once, and also smack the water. They get terrible bruises. In synchro, I'm actually afraid of like drowning, because we would hold our breath for over 2 minutes, and minute 1 to 2 feels like phase 1 of drowning to me. So I'm actually really afraid of drowning, which doesn't make a lot of sense since I spent my whole life underwater. But yeah, so there's like whatever that fear is, and each sport might have its own thing. Whatever you guys go through is those are part of getting to that high level. Next one I wanted to tell you about is living in the moment. This is actually like my greatest regret of my career. This is me on the Olympic podium in Atlanta with my team. I don't know if you can tell. Do you know which one's me, Dean? Yes, I am. Anyways, we try to make ourselves look the same when we compete. But anyways, I put this up there because if you look closely, there's kind of flowers in front of my face. But I am actually sulking on that podium. I went there with the gold in mind. And I was like, I had pictured my flag going up, the anthem playing. I had seen it in my head for years. So it was very close. Like the scores were, we both had 9.9s and 10s, and they had more 10s than we did. So like it was that close. So I was quite ticked in the moment. And I always looked to that as the greatest disappointment in myself. Like how many people in their life have the chance to stand on an Olympic podium, and I kind of wasted that moment. I also was like, I'm coming back in 4 years, I'm getting the gold, blah, blah. And a year and a half later, ended up having like a career-ending back surgeries that needed multiple surgeries. So I never got to go back, and I wasted that moment. So that is the greatest sadness of my career. And I put up this picture of Becky Scott because she actually won bronze in this picture, and her happiness was so contagious. I felt like the whole country kind of wrapped their arms around her, like the joy of the bronze. So I felt like she knew how to live in the moment. Side note, she actually ended up getting gold like a year or so later because the 2 that came ahead of her were disqualified for drug infractions. But anyways, she got that bronze, and like to see that kind of joy and what it does and brings you in. Anyways, that is my greatest regret of my sport, but I probably won't stand on a podium again, but I've made sure to kind of grab those great moments in life. And the last point that I wanted to make is about the inches. When you talk to athletes who are kind of at the top level, most of them know that the big strides that you're going to make are mostly done, like the big improvements. So now you're looking for, how do I get an inch higher or an inch faster or an inch better or like improved? So that we're always looking for those little things to improve from everywhere we can. Anyways, I always feel like this is one of my favorite videos of all time that CBC did. So this is highlights from the Olympics, and it's Al Pacino in the movie Any Given Sunday giving kind of a locker room talk to the football team about the inches that we fight for. So I feel like he says it better than me. And
should you check the volume on the TV?
I did. Do you want me to turn it up though?
Oh, you're good. If you check
I could hear it, but it could be louder.
it. Well, I don't know.
Do we have volume? Here, you can have the volume, yeah. It is also, you guys, it's a very old video and terrible quality, but it's still one of my favorites of all time.
There you go, brother. You can just monitor it.
Yeah. So this was technology in my era. Email was exciting at this time. Okay. I haven't pressed play yet, so you got the volume?
You're going to push the wrong one and it will go off.
Got it? Okay. All right.
You find out life's this game in inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that inch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're gonna do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals. Now, what are you gonna do?
Okay. So thanks, that's all I had to say, but if anyone has any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer. No questions? Oh, thank you.
How important is diet?
How important is diet? It's like if you don't have the fuel to fuel yourself, you can't do it.
You can't do it.
Yeah, so your will not carry you
That's
through a
right.
7-hour practice. Yeah.
Lifestyle, right?
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot more research now about athletes not getting enough fuel and how bad it is for your health, but also that it's ultimately impossible to get to the greatest level of athletic achievement without the fuel to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing your sport before you became
16 years. So, anyone else?
What happened to your back?
What happened to my back? Well, synchro's a little bit like kind of gymnastics. It's kind of an overuse sport. So it started off as a herniated disc and it kind of shattered. So it was like a particularly bad one. Surgeon went in, missed a piece, and then I ended up having to go in again 2 days later. Then I got a spinal infection. So it kind of ate through half my spinal cord. So I was really lucky to like live through it and still be okay. And then had to have a spinal fusion to fix that. So yeah, it doesn't bend anymore. Yeah. Cool. What's now?
How is it like, so in volleyball, we're competing against another team, which obviously you guys are as well with the synchro, but it's kind of like gymnastics, right? It's like you do your routine, then you have to go and watch.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you manage like the stress of even like watching, like waiting to go on, or like you've done your thing and now something else is
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. So we had a sports psychologist and he figured out what everybody needed. So some people were afraid to watch. Some people didn't mind watching the people ahead. He even had he's like, we're going to have the extroverts stand over here and chat and the introverts go look out, and like they can't hear the marks of other people, can't see, afraid to watch them. Extroverts are there chatting with everybody. So we all knew what we had to do. I see a lot, like one of the things with high performance that I see so much, like how many times do you see that people aren't having the first game is like, oh, they were getting warmed up or whatever, right? So that means you're not like in the right headspace when you're starting, right? So our warm up was so trained. I knew to the minute exactly what we were doing and how long everything took, and to get you in the headspace you need. But it was also figuring out what each person needed to get in that headspace, because some people need way more time, more repetitions of whatever, and some people don't want to do too much. They don't want to feel tired when they start, and some people want to chat, and some people want to be left alone. Some people are really scary when you compete with them at the Olympics on your team because they're not friendly. Yeah, so there's all kinds of and so that was like the psychologist getting that for all of us and finding that. So we had we knew what time our events were, so we would train at that time in the morning for that routine and the nighttime for the other routine, and we would have like all these practice days where we'd come in and do the exact warm up and the exact timing. Yeah, so it's quite science to get that perfect performance. Yeah.
And were you on do they have when you're on the team, is it, are these, sometimes they have the best university squad goes, or is it from all over Canada?
Yeah, it's a national team from all over Canada, yeah. So you kind of first compete in your city, and then you get to your province, and you have to qualify for each thing as you go, and then you go to Westerns, then you go to nationals, then you make the top 40, and then they have a very grueling 16 hours a day national team tryouts that's judged, and then you're on the team, and then there's 10 of you, and then 8 of you get to swim. So it's it's just a long process, yeah. But we actually fought for our alternates, so to get medals because of the important role that they play. So there's I didn't show you the routine, so I don't know if you want to see it, but anyways, each of us have a different position. One person flies through the air, one person pushes, but each pattern has a different spot. So the alternate has to learn all 8 spots. And I've had someone trip on the way in on the ice and break their arm, and they have to go and do that. So it's a really, really hard position. So we actually fought for them to get medals as well because of how important that role was, even though they weren't going to swim on that day. So I really liked that because when you think about a volleyball team, everybody's got their own role to play, and yeah, it's not always just people on the court that moment. Yeah. Tegan, any questions? No.
I'd like to see it.
Oh, the video?
You say you do show us.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's probably on here.
Maybe not. We can
Yeah.
check it out.
No, I can show it to you after if you want. Yeah, but I don't know if you guys want to. Yeah, it's 5 minutes, and it's terrible quality, really, really bad. But yeah, okay, give me a minute, and I'll find that. I think it's in. You guys can see how I organize my files while we're here. Work. Yeah.
So you're not allowed to touch the ground at all, or just?
No, you're not allowed to touch the bottom. Penalty.
Really?
Penalty and a penalty is huge. You would go from first to 8th. Yeah.
And when you're doing it, how much of it is what am I gonna say? When the judges are coming out, the scoring, how much of it is an objective thing, and how much of it is subjective?
Well, they've redone all the judging. It's not the best judged sport, I gotta say, in my mind. But they're kind of been trying to work on that. Diving. So my husband was a diver, so I'd see it, and they would get halves and zeros for a dive, and I don't know how you in 5 minutes can get a 10 really, because there's so many mistakes. But so, yeah. So they've been working on degree of difficulty and different things like that. But it was kind of synchro was new to the Olympics in '84, so it was still kind of a groundbreaking time in the sport. So they were trying to figuring out the judging, and mostly it was kind of a ranking more than in my perspective. Yeah, and there was also an artistic mark and a technical mark.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay, let me see if I got this. Okay. There we go.
There is Team Canada getting set for their 5-minute free routine in team synchronized swimming. This is the final. This is the moment that these 8 young women have trained so long and hard for.
See that?
Plenty of Canadian support. Look at the hundreds of Canadian flags.
Okay, that's it. That's all I got for you.
Aquatic Center. Christine Larson, Janice Brenner, Erin Woodley, Carrie Reed, Lisa Alexander, Karen Fontaine, Sylvie Frechette, and Karen Clark. The Canadian team coming on to the
We also we can hear the music under the water, if you're wondering. Yeah, it sounds, you can hear it clearer because there's no sounds.
There's
Yeah.
Christine Larson, Karen's younger sister, leading the Canadian team onto the pool deck. You can smile, you can be proud. That's your sis out there.
I'm bursting with pride for all these women. They've just put in an extraordinary year. They're exemplary, I think, to us all in their dedication.
Canada has never finished out of the medals in the Olympics. It won 3 gold and 3 silver, but this is the first
It
time
was just like,
for team synchronized swimming. And this is Team Canada's 5-minute routine.
The music, Canada Gold. It's an original composition by Psychic Mambo of Toronto. And there will be a very familiar tune woven throughout this music. Now this starts with a bang. See how they're setting up for it underwater. This is Sylvie Frechette emerging. She's standing on Carrie Reed. Now it's one thing to do a lift, it's another thing to hold it, and it's another thing to travel down the pool. They moved about 10 meters on that. It's terrific. Let's see if you can guess what this is. A maple leaf that turns itself inside out. This team is choreographed to the theme of unity, very appropriate. Swimmers from 4 provinces on this team. They have English and French coaches. They all moved to Edmonton to put this together.
Team unity, national unity, and world harmony.
This is a big figure for them, probably the longest one of any country in the whole competition. That was tremendous. Tremendous pattern, tremendous synchronization. You saw that they had terrific height in their double. They're just so strong in the water. And they swim very close together. It's very difficult to do. This is a very tall team. The shortest is, I think, 5'7.5". The tallest is 5'11". It's one of the legs and arms to coordinate to do this. This is another key. This is what Canada does that no one else does. Very long and strong figures. They don't just go into them and come out of them. They do them and they stay, and there they are in a double circle traveling down the pool. The pattern is perfect. To the slower, more hopeful sounding part of the routine. Here's one of those how they do that figures. They're setting up for their big highlight. It's Lisa Alexander. That's not it. She's smiling because she gets to breathe. Now watch this. Karen Fontaine, a pipe dive. She's the gymnast in the group. That was great.
Minutes ago now in the Canadian free routine.
And they still look pretty fresh. They've already traveled almost 3 lengths of a 30-meter pool, and they cover the pool. They don't turn around before they get to the end. This figure's my favorite. Their synchronization, Steve, is bang on. It is better than I have seen it throughout the weeks that I've been watching.
They haven't missed a beat yet.
Well, this could be the X factor. You know, they had written a routine earlier, and they threw it out in January. It just didn't have enough punch for them. They're so passionate about this new one. And I think it really shows in their swimming. There you go, another maple leaf. small synchronization error. Here they are, building into their finale. What an inspired swim.
5 minutes that should guarantee.
Funny little side note there, they now hire like biomechanical engineers to do these wild, like they go like 20 feet in the air and do all these flips. But our coach for this was like Tegan's dad for the backflip. He's a diver, dating somebody, for a shirt coming out of the pool. So it's like, it was a different time. Anyways, yeah.
How do you guys like stay? And this is maybe a dumb question. Like, how do you like everyone's like moving? Like, how
How do you know where to go?
like like everyone's
Yeah, it's, so there's like lines in space, like lines, you know, like for like swim racing, there's lines on the bottom of the pool. So you have kind of the spot, you know, you're supposed to be in, and you open your eyes. It's awful on the eyes. Hurt. Yeah. Because we train with goggles and then take them off to compete.
Oh, there's no yeah, you're not wearing.
Yeah, so your eyes get like, and sometimes you go to pools and like can't drive home after because the chlorine would be so bad or like poorly done or whatever. Yeah.
Formation, traveling the length of the course.
Yeah, but you can imagine there's like, the alternates have to know all those different positions. Like, yeah, it's really hard. What did you guys think of the egg beater? Was it higher? Or?
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, just funny little. Yeah. Anything else? Any questions? Yeah.
Where were the Olympics located then?
That was Atlanta.
Oh.
Yeah.
How old was everyone on the team? Like, what age did you guys peak?
I was like the second youngest on the team at 24. So they were mostly between 24 and 28. But there was also, this was the first time team was ever in the Olympics. So people kind of hung around for a long time waiting for it. We knew it was coming. So that's probably like uniquely old group. Yeah.
Is there also individual?
Yeah, so that's, I competed like individually as a soloist, and then there's also a duet. So that I also did the solo competition as well. Yeah. But at that time, so it's like they started off in '84 with solo and duet for the 2 Olympics, and then they changed to just team, and now they have men in it and combos and so many different things in it. So it's just kind of a new sport at the time that was evolving. So yeah, kind of cool. It was also cool, girls. This was like 100-year anniversary of the Olympics, and first time Canada had ever had a bigger women's team than men's in the history of the Olympics. And like 100 years earlier, women weren't allowed to watch the Olympics. Okay, like not even just not compete, but not watch them, right? So pretty cool. That's like a cool thing about the 100 years, yeah.